Author and intimacy expert Laura M. Brotherson, host of the Marital Intimacy Show, educates and inspires women to create a mutually fulfilling, intimate, and passionate marital relationship, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually.
Hi there. Welcome to the Marital Intimacy Show. My name is Laura Brotherson. Thanks for tuning in today. Well, we get to talk about sex and marriage today. I mean, how fun is that? It's one of my favorite things to talk about, that is. So the topic of this show is 3 keys to help you thrive in your marriage. You know, I guess in the spirit of the season and in the spirit of wanting to simplify things for you, I wanted to just identify what I believe are the top 3 things that you can do to make your marriage strong and thriving. You know, we're all so busy, and there's an overload of information flowing through our lives. So I thought, what's the kicker? What's the kicker for marriages? So if people can't do it all, what are the key things that they can do? So here are 3 words for you to remember and to burn into your mind. Date, touch, and pray. So these are our 3 marital musts. Date. Date regularly. Touch. Increase touch in your relationship. And pray. Pray regularly as a couple. Now, the reason why these 3 things are so important is that they cover the 3 dimensions of intimacy: mind, body, spirit, or another way to think of it, the mental, emotional intimacy or nourishment, the physical and sexual intimacy and nourishment, and the spiritual intimacy and nourishment. This date, touch, and pray helps us to bring all of that into one whole. And so these are the 3 critical ways to keep our marriages thriving and to just simplify or boil down the key actions that we want to be taking in our marriage. So let's make this short and simple for you. Let's start with date night. This is something that every couple needs to be doing regularly. Once a week would be ideal. And you know what? This doesn't have to be something that we're doing, that you're spending a lot of time or a lot of money on. It can be anything. The thing about date night is that it separates us from our day-to-day lives, where there are bills to pay and diapers to change and soccer games to attend and laundry to do and lunches to be made and all of these other things, like deadlines at work and pressure from bosses and just a lot of other pressures that we have going on in our lives. Whereas date night kind of takes you out of that world for a little moment and allows you to enter the world of just husband and wife, of boyfriend-girlfriend kind of a feeling, that courtship kind of a stage that allows that fun and playfulness to just kind of resurface again. You know, this is a really necessary foundation that we need to have in our relationships, because, you know, when kids are grown and gone, we've got to have that foundation of the relationship. What a sad thing it is for divorces to occur at that point, simply because we let parenting or other things take over our coupling and our husband-wife relationship and nourishing that vital relationship. You know, and it doesn't matter, again, what you do for this date night. In our home, Friday night is date night. The kids know that's when we go out. I know that's when we go out. And boy, I have a really hard time if ever we can't go out on Friday night and we have to wait till Saturday. I mean, that's a challenge for me, because it's my light. It's a light at the end of the tunnel of a busy, you know, overwhelming kind of a week. So it's a real treat, I think, for a marriage, and it's necessary because it provides that mental and emotional intimacy and nourishment and connection that is vital to the health and well-being and strength of a marriage. So the key is just figure out what you can do together. It needs to be something you do together, alone, or with friends once in a while for fun. This is something for enjoyment, for escape, and for connecting. And it just provides that fun little spark of spice and in enjoyment in the rest of your, and it's not that the rest of your life isn't that way as well, but it's just a different kind of connecting than you may have the opportunity to do as much in the rest of your day. So are you all committed to date night? Hopefully, yes. Okay, so we've talked about date and the importance of dating regularly. Let's talk about touch. I mean, how fun is that? But just to kind of stop the natural thought process here, I want to talk first about non-sexual touch. I would say that for most couples, we all kind of operate in a state of touch deprivation to some degree. A lot of times we get married and we stop holding hands and we stop touching in affectionate ways because, why just hold hands when you can go all the way, right? And so unfortunately, we lose some of that pure touch, that simple touch in our relationships, and we've got to bring that back. I assign a lot of touch homework to a lot of couples because they've lost the art of affection in their relationship, and they need to relearn to enjoy touch without it always having strings attached. That's the other big thing that couples need to do. Often I will assign homework for a husband and wife to choose one night a week, maybe it's Sunday night at 9:00, where for an hour they just be together and touch or cuddle or snuggle or whatever it is that they do, both of them knowing that there are no strings attached, that this isn't going to lead to anywhere, so that both of them are freed up either from expectations or hopefulness or whatever, just knowing that we're just going to enjoy each other and just to be physically close together and physically touching. So what are some ways that you can touch more in your relationship? You know what? Hold hands when you walk. I'm amazed at how often I see husbands and wives not holding hands just when they're walking together into the movie theater or walking together into dinner or walking together into church. Couples need to be holding hands. It sets a great example for their kids as well. So if you're going to sit down somewhere together, sit close enough to touch. This could be at home on the couch. It could be at church. It could be while you're driving. Just, if you can't sit close enough to touch in some other way. Put your hand on his leg, or he can put his hand on your arm, or whatever it is. There's so many ways that we can be nourishing each other with physical, affectionate touch. It's kind of fun to just bump into each other in the kitchen maybe, or sneak up behind your honey and wrap your arms around their waist. Just look for more ways to touch each other in loving, tender ways. Touch has the power to connect a husband and wife in a way that few other things can. And touch doesn't require anyone to say anything verbally. So it puts both husband and wife on just a level playing field. And I love the kind of communication that can occur without words, just through pure touch. So can you even find ways to include sexual touch a little more in your relationship? Of course, that's, the dessert kind of touch. Now, women, you may need to take the lead a little bit on this, and men may need to hold back so that this, if it's a new thing for you, that it isn't being perceived, that this touch isn't being perceived as offensive or objectifying to your wife. I have worked with a lot of women who just hate it when their husband comes up to them into the kitchen and, grabs at them. It just isn't honoring to them. And so you may need to back up a little bit and do a lot more of the non-sexual touching before maybe a wife will trust a husband with that kind of playful sexual touching that's occurring outside of the bedroom. But when you can get to the point where that can occur, that's great as well, a little bit. But I also mean in the bedroom. I mean, how can you also make lovemaking a higher priority in your relationship and to participate more often if you can? Again, that's easier said than done for a lot of couples. And so if that's an area that you need to work on, then I would certainly recommend you get my book and start reading through that and applying that. So here's a little exercise for you. Just think think about how many times in a day do you and your spouse touch? I mean, think back over the last 24 hours. How many times did you touch? And if you don't know, then I would challenge you to watch and see for the next day and just see how often do we touch, and then set yourself a goal to increase it tomorrow and to start finding ways to touch just a little bit more often. Okay, so we've talked about dating regularly. We've talked about increasing touch. Now let's talk about praying more often as a couple. This could be a real hidden treasure for a lot of couples. I'd like to suggest that prayer has a real magical power to it that many of us are not probably fully utilizing in our marriages. Prayer provides a way to bring spiritual intimacy and nourishment into a marriage. And a lot of us probably are existing or subsisting with less than what we could have. Just think about it. Praying together out loud is very intimate. I mean, to know what each other is praying for or about is very revealing of their inner lives. And, you know, to hear a spouse pray for you is incredibly bonding. It's very touching, and it can be a real healing power in a relationship that might be struggling, or even just in any relationship to just be strengthening that relationship. You know, to pray for your marriage when you're struggling with something really puts you both on the same page together, even in the midst of the struggles. I remember that first time my husband and I prayed together about our sexual relationship. It was embarrassing. I still remember exactly where we were and how we were kneeling and all of the feelings associated with it. It was kind of scary and intimidating for me to ask God to help us with our intimate relationship. You know, I knew He must want more for us than what we currently had at the time, and I believed He would help. I knew He knew all about it because I knew He created it, and I just hoped that He would help us find some answers that we needed. But having that experience together was really huge. And prayer really takes the relationship to a whole different level. I had a woman tell me about them including or adding couple prayer into their relationship, and what a transformative effect it had on their whole relationship in all different dimensions, in all different areas of their relationship. And I really believe that that's true. So that's prayer, praying regularly as a couple, more often than what you are, or starting it if you haven't been doing it. These are the 3 key actions that you can take to make it easier to strengthen and thrive in your marriage. So what are they again? Date more, touch more, and pray as a couple more. Okay, have you got it? Burned into your mind and into your heart. So this has been episode number 12, 3 keys to help you thrive in your marriage on the Marital Intimacy Show with Laura M. Brotherson. So I hope you feel some sense of relief maybe, or greater confidence that this has hopefully simplified for you what may have felt like a big task of strengthening your marriage. I wanted to make it simpler for you to say, okay, I can do just these 3 things. So here's your homework. What's one thing that you can start doing, start incorporating into your relationship? Do you want to reach out and touch more, or are you going to maybe suggest starting couple prayers together? Whatever it is, just start today. And then secondly, as always, I really welcome your thoughts about this or any of the episodes on the Marital Intimacy Show. I want this show to be for you. I want this to be something that really helps you. So you can share your thoughts by posting here on the Marital Intimacy Show blog, or you can post on the Marital Intimacy Show Facebook page if that's easier, or you can email me directly at laura@strengtheningmarriage.com. And then lastly, I hope you'll help get the word out about this show, since it's not every day that you can join in on a discussion and learn about sex and intimacy and marriage. This show really does fill a void, a huge void in our society. So I hope you'll tell a friend about it. So thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back soon with more insights and inspiration for strengthening your marriage intimately. Now remember, you can always check in at our website, www.strengtheningmarriage.com, to learn more. Until then, this is Laura Brotherson with the Marital Intimacy Show. Have a great day and make yours a great marriage.